If I absorb myself in this feeling, it grows more and more in strength while I enjoy it. It is as if I were ascending into the blue spaces of the sky. And furthermore, I do not know the reason for it, but since I have had this peaceful joy in me, I have a song in my heart. Old Tobiah's song. I think it was written for this hour, for this joy, for the land of Israel that receives it, for Jerusalem sinner, and now forgiven. But do not laugh at the frenzy of a mother. For when I say, thank the Lord for your wealth, and bless the God of centuries, that he may rebuild his tabernacle in you. I think that he who will rebuild the tabernacle of the true God in Jerusalem will be this one who is about to be born. And I also think that the destiny of my creature was prophesied, and not the fate of the holy city, when the song says, quotes, "You shall shine with a bright light. All the peoples of the world will prostrate themselves before you. The nations will come bringing gifts. They will worship the Lord in you, and will hold your land as sacred, because within you they invoke the great name. You will be happy on account of your children, because they will all be blessed, and they will gather near the Lord. Blessed are those who love you, and rejoice in your peace." Unquote. And I am the first to rejoice, her happy mother. Just to pause again. It's quite interesting here. The St. Anne seems to be thinking that the child, though she believes she's female, will have a messianic role, if not be the Messiah herself. It would seem to be odd, though, to think that St. Anne would think that the female child will be the Messiah, because the Messiah will be a man. But her prophetic instinct sees still dimly, not completely. And so those verses which she quoted from the Old Testament, which are properly referred to the Messiah, she's referring them to the Blessed Virgin. And that's correct in a way, in that it's of that child Mary's flesh, when she's a woman, that the Messiah will come. But it also shows that this work is not of Maria Valtorta's, for she would not put something in there which a person hostile to Maria Valtorta's work would say, aha, heresy. Don't follow this writing. Well, nobody has picked up on this. I guarantee you, well, almost guarantee you, because I've read a lot of hostile stuff, but nobody's picked up on that. And I think that it's telling that that is on the lips of St. Anne, showing, as a novelist perhaps would not want to do, that St. Anne didn't quite get it right, but was not far off the mark, in fact. All right, continuing the narrative. Anne changes colour when saying these words, and she lights up like something brought from the paleness of moonlight to the brightness of a great fire, and vice versa. Sweet tears, of which she's unaware, run down her cheeks, and she smiles in her joy. And in the meantime, she moves towards the house, walking between her husband and her relative, who listen, and deeply moved, are silent. They make haste, because clouds driven by a strong wind rush across and gather in the sky, while the plain darkens and shudders at the warning of a storm. When they reach the threshold of the dwelling, a first livid flash of lightning crosses the sky, and the rumble of the first peal of thunder sounds like the roll of a huge drum that mingles with the arpeggio of the first drops on the parched leaves. They all go in, and Anne withdraws, while Joachim, standing at the door, talks with the workers, who have in the meantime joined him. The conversation is about the longed-for water which is a blessing for the parched land. But their joy turns into fear, because a very violent storm is approaching with lightning and clouds threatening hail. If the cloud bursts, it will crush the grapes and the olives like a millstone. Poor me. Joachim is also anxious for his wife, whose time has come to give birth to her child. His relative reassures him that Anne is not suffering at all, but he is agitated, and every time his relative or any other woman, amongst whom is Alphaeus' mother, comes out of Anne's room and goes back in again with hot water and basins and linens dried near the blazing fireplace in the large kitchen, he goes and makes enquiries, but he does not calm down despite their reassurances. Also, the lack of cries from Anne worries him. He says, "I'm a man, and I've never seen a child being born, but I remember hearing that the absence of throes is fatal." It is growing dark, and the evening is preceded by a furious and very violent storm. It brings torrential rain, wind, lightning, everything except hail, which has fallen elsewhere. One of the workers notices the ferocity of the gale. It looks as if Satan has come out of Gehenna with his demons. Look at those black clouds. You can smell sulphur in the air, and you can hear whistling and hisses and wailing and cursing voices. If it is him, he is furious this evening. The other worker laughs and scoffs. A great prey must have escaped him, or Michael has struck him with a new thunderbolt from God, and he's had his horns and tail clipped and burnt. A woman passes by and shouts, "Joachim, it is coming, and it is happening quickly and well." And she disappears with a small amphora in her hands. The storm drops suddenly, after one last thunderbolt that is so violent that it throws the three men against the side wall. And in front of the house, in the garden, a black, smoky cavity remains as its memory. Meanwhile, a cry, one resembling the tiny plea of a little turtle dove, that for the very first time no longer peeps but coos, is heard from beyond Anne's door. And at the same time, a huge rainbow stretches its semicircle across the sky. It rises, or seems to rise, from the top of Hermon, which kissed by the sun looks like a most delicate pinkish alabaster. It rises up in the clear September sky, and through an atmosphere cleaned of all impurities, it crosses over the hills of Galilee and the plain to the south, and over another mountain, and seems to rest the other end on the distant horizon, where it drops from view behind a chain of high mountains. We've never seen anything like this. Look, look! It seems to enclose in a circle the whole of the land of Israel. And look, there's already a star in the sky, while the sun has not yet set. What a star! It is shining like a huge diamond. And the moon over there is a full moon 3 days early. But look how she is shining. I'll just pause there. This amazing phenomenon of the rainbow and the other phenomena that are described, there's some effort being made to locate the birth date of the Blessed Virgin Mary because of the various phenomena that are described in here, particularly the star, the rainbow. I may do a video on that on another occasion. I'm not sure that the conclusion was in the end that one could actually establish the birth date of the Blessed Virgin Mary from looking at these details, but they are nonetheless hugely interesting